This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country.
FBI and DEA agents have raided the private office of a sitting U.S. senator, uncovering massive quantities of fentanyl, heroin, and millions in cash.
A massive multi-agency operation led by the DEA and supported by local, state, tribal, and federal partners was launched to dismantle one of the most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist networks ever uncovered inside the United States. What began as a covert investigation ended with an unprecedented discovery. Federal agents had raided the private office of a sitting U.S. senator and uncovered staggering quantities of fentanyl, heroin, and millions in hidden cash. The morning the truth broke open, the quiet corridors outside the Senate chamber felt almost sacred. Senator Marcus Hale adjusted his tie, unaware that the flashing overhead lights were the last calm signal before everything collapsed. Seconds later, the stillness shattered as tactical teams surged through the hallway with the force of a battlefield strike. Commands erupted like bursts of gunfire. A startled staffer screamed, and Capitol Police froze while agents pinned Hale against the wall with the same precision they used to storm cartel superlabs. Inside his office, evidence spoke louder than any accusation. A steel cabinet, violently forced open, spilled out tightly packed bricks of fentanyl prepared for mass distribution, stacks of heroin marked with cartel insignias, and cash counted in the millions. But the most disturbing items were the classified documents, routing codes, authorization memos, and transport clearances. These are not mistakes. They were orders. The breach hadn't come from outside enemies. It had come from within the United States Senate. This moment wasn't a coincidence. It was the final move in a 14-month silent war known only to 9 federal officials. Behind the scenes, Hale had personally authorized a chain of priority shipments that crossed multiple states under the disguise of national security logistics. What the public believed were protected military convoys were actually the backbone of a sprawling narcotics empire valued at nearly $15 billion. Investigators soon uncovered the origins of the criminal network Hale empowered, an organization known only as the Meridian Syndicate. Its roots stretched back more than 2 decades, forged from former Sinaloa enforcers, Balkan weapons suppliers, and rogue military advisors expelled for war crimes. Their brutality had become legend. Over 200 disappearances linked to tunnel construction, fortified safe houses equipped with blast doors, and chemical incinerators capable of destroying bodies in minutes. Torture recordings were used to maintain control over compromised officials. A revenge massacre in 2019 left 22 dead. This was not a gang. It was a militarized empire. Hale wasn't simply cooperating with them. He was building their American expansion. 8 years of hidden records revealed a system operating at industrial scale. 19 underground tunnels engineered for high-volume transport. 62 military-grade trucks registered to fabricated contractors. Courier teams outfitted with encrypted radios and night vision gear, and fentanyl drums concealed in climate-controlled weapons crates. Within cartel communications, their distribution route had a name. The Iron Corridor, a shadow highway designed to move narcotics and weapons into major cities without leaving a trace. Whenever the DEA attempted to intervene, a classified clearance code, Hale 17A, flashed across their screens, forcing the operation to halt. To the public, Senator Hale was praised as a champion of national security. In reality, he commanded the most protected narcotics pipeline ever built inside the U.S. government. Agents knew he was the head of the operation, but none of them anticipated what came next. The moment Hale's fingerprints entered federal custody, a second phase activated. Operation Fracture, the largest coordinated domestic strike since 9/11. Across 14 states, more than 3,000 federal agents prepared in unmarked hangars and warehouses. No insignias. The first major clash erupted outside El Paso, near a barren expanse known as the Desert Edge, one of the locations where Hale's covert tunnel surfaced. Helicopters sliced through the cold pre-dawn air as federal teams descended on a fortified compound disguised as a trucking depot. Infrared drones mapped 16 armed guards positioned along rooftops and elevated walkways. The instant flashbangs detonated, the compound exploded into chaos. Gunfire ricocheted off steel containers while agents advanced with riot shields raised. A guard on a scaffold tried to reload, but a precision shot stopped him instantly. Inside the warehouse, crates were found packed with military-grade suppressors and sealed drums of fentanyl bearing the Meridian emblem. A firefight erupted near the stairwell, leading to a hidden tunnel shaft. Cartel gunmen attempted to hold their position, but federal units overran them in minutes. At dawn, the second front ignited in Phoenix. A conversion lab posing as an auto parts shop churned out fentanyl tablets in massive quantities. When agents breached the rear wall, white chemical clouds billowed through the room. Two operators fled between rows of industrial mixers, one attempting to ignite a drum of volatile chemicals to level the entire facility. Agents took him down before the fuse made contact. But the largest confrontation unfolded hours later in northern Georgia, where the syndicate controlled its primary logistics hub, a maze of freight trailers surrounding a fictional manufacturing company. As federal vehicles converged, cartel trucks attempted a high-speed breakout. Spike systems shredded their tires, sending them skidding sideways into drainage ditches. Gunfire echoed between metal rows while gas grenades hissed under trailers. Thermal drones overhead located suspects hiding inside refrigerated units. Two men were discovered beneath frozen produce, clutching rifles that had iced over. By 8:03 a.m., the battles were over. What remained was Washington had barely absorbed the shock of the Capitol raid when a second wave of turmoil struck, this time inside the political core of the nation. By mid-morning, the Senate was engulfed in crisis. A sitting senator had been arrested, his criminal empire dismantled before sunrise, and the hallways outside the chamber no longer felt like a functioning government building. They felt like the command floor of an emergency bunker. Fullness rang nonstop. Staffers whispered anxiously in corners. Press aides rushed past with pale faces, struggling to process the scale of the betrayal. Overnight, a man once celebrated as a national security authority had been exposed as the architect of a militarized narcotics network. At 11:04 a.m., leaders from both parties were escorted into a sealed briefing room. Behind closed doors, they confronted the same evidence the FBI had been assembling for more than a year: financial records, encrypted chat logs, tunnel schematics, weapons inventories, and clearance documents bearing Hale's unmistakable authorization. One phrase repeated across the table like a warning siren. This originated inside the Senate. The fallout began instantly. 19 senior aides were detained for questioning. 3 were handcuffed on Capitol property after investigators discovered campaign data synced perfectly with cartel shipment timelines. In Chicago, a communications director attempted to wipe 6 years of emails the moment the raid became public, but federal agents stopped him before he reached the elevator. Across the country, officials scrambled to distance themselves. Governors released urgent statements declaring their shock and cooperation with investigators. Meanwhile, news anchors struggled to keep pace as new names surfaced: city council members, procurement officers, transportation advisors, each inexplicably connected to Hale's clearance network. Then came the most explosive revelation: a leaked classified memo, typed in blunt block letters, REA. The political firestorm ripping through Washington was only the surface. Beneath it, investigators were uncovering a deeper, colder reality, one built with the precision of a military operation and designed to withstand elections, audits, and oversight. The key to understanding it all lay inside a single evidence box removed from Hale's office, a plain, unmarked binder. To the untrained eye, it looked like routine paperwork. But when analysts opened it, the illusion of normalcy collapsed. They had discovered the Meridian Ledger. This was not an ordinary record book. It was the operational blueprint of an empire. Every page mapped out political access points, payment cycles, transportation routes, clearance codes, and contingency plans. 77 officials appeared in its entries. Not all were high-ranking, and not all were elected. Many were the kinds of people the public rarely thinks about. Procurement officers approving transport contracts, DOT logistics coordinators, regional safety inspectors, and subcommittee assistants with access to classified schedules. Even a security footage analyst appeared in the logs. Each represented a small lever inside the machinery of government, a lever that could quietly reroute a shipment, delay an inspection, or make a report disappear. But deeper inside the ledger were the names no one expected. Police chiefs, city council members, and former military advisors connected to Hale's defense committees. Together, they formed a lattice of protection more sophisticated than anything federal models had predicted. This was not simple bribery. It was integration, an entire criminal network woven into the skeleton of public institutions. Even more disturbing was the pattern investigators uncovered. Every payment in the ledger corresponded to an action, a bypass checkpoint, a missing camera feed, a clearance code issued, an inspection delayed. The Meridian Syndicate wasn't hiding from the system. It was using the system across TH. By the end of the week, the United States was no longer the same country. On the surface, nothing had changed. The buildings still stood, the flags still flew, and the Senate still opened its doors each morning. But beneath that thin layer of normalcy, something fundamental had fractured. Marcus Hale had not merely corrupted a system. He had shown how easily the system could be weaponized from within. The collapse began quietly. Federal warrants rolled out across 23 jurisdictions, freezing bank accounts, seizing corporate servers, and shutting down transportation networks that had unknowingly helped move Meridian shipments for years. By Friday afternoon, more than 600 financial accounts were under federal control, including offshore holdings disguised as humanitarian programs, defense grants, and energy subsidies. Then came the first wave of indictments. 184 individuals ranging from senior advisors to mid-level bureaucrats. People so ordinary, yet holding access so crucial that their arrests sent tremors through every agency in the country. Inside the Capitol, the atmosphere shifted from disbelief to dread. Offices that once buzzed with staffers now sat dark behind sealed doors. Emergency ethics hearings were scheduled overnight. Intelligence officials flooded into Hale's former classified workspace, combing through every document he had touched, searching for signs of what else he might have manipulated or sold. Meanwhile, public outrage spread faster than any official statement could contain. In Chicago, protesters filled the streets with signs asking, how many deaths came from Hale's pen? And if a senator builds a cartel, who guard the law? For countless families, the scandal confirmed what they had long suspected, that the devastation in their communities wasn't random. It was sanctioned, protected by someone with the authority to stop it. Through all of this, Marcus Hale remained silent, as agents escorted him from solitary to the court. Federal authorities described Operation Fracture as a historic success, but inside their own briefing rooms, commanders admitted a difficult truth. Dismantling the Meridian Syndicate had not repaired the system. It had simply exposed how deep the damage ran. The final report released that night carried a single sentence that echoed across the nation. Drugs do not enter a country through borders alone. They enter through the silence of those trusted to guard the gates. And now, that silence had finally been broken. In the end, this story is not just about one senator, one syndicate, or one criminal network. It is about something far more fragile, the trust people place in institutions meant to protect them. When corruption begins inside the system itself, it doesn't just poison agencies or offices. It poisons families. It poisons neighborhoods. It poisons generations. The harshest truth is simple. The greatest threats to a nation are not always the ones approaching from outside. Sometimes the danger comes from those already inside, the ones holding clearance codes and keys. This investigation revealed a reality many never wanted to face. Silence is not protection. Silence is permission. And when those who see wrongdoing choose not to speak, the worst people are given the wheel. So now the question belongs to the public. What part of this case shocked you the most? What details struck you hardest? Your voice matters more than you may realize. The more people who hear this truth, the harder it becomes for systems like this to grow in the shadows. If you want to hear the next chapter, if you want the full picture to continue unfolding, speak up, share your perspective, demand answers. Because in moments like this, silence is the one thing the system is counting on, and the one thing the nation can no longer afford. Single Insider exists for one reason: to expose the hidden machinery operating beneath the surface of everyday life. This is the place where shadows are dissected, systems are unraveled, and the truth, no matter how buried, finds a way to the light. In an age where information is twisted, diluted, and manipulated, Single Insider steps past the noise and goes directly to the real engine room of crime, corruption, covert deals, and institutional failure. This channel does not tell ordinary stories. It reconstructs the kind of operations that powerful people prefer to keep buried. Every investigation crafted here follows a single principle: nothing happens without a network supporting it. A cartel shipment does not move without an insider. A corrupt officer does not rise without protection. A region does not collapse without warning signs. Single Insider follows these threads with precision, uncovering how one decision, one loophole, or one compromised official can trigger a domino effect capable of destabilizing entire communities. This channel specializes in deep-dive breakdowns of criminal networks, financial corruption, hidden pipelines, and systemic failures that shape real-world outcomes. Whether the story begins at a quiet seaport, a busy border crossing, a corrupt management office, or a failed political decision, Single Insider shows the entire chain of events. Every link, every player, every consequence. The channel goes beyond headlines, beyond rumors, and far beyond the shallow surface-level information most audiences are used to consuming. Single Insider builds narratives out of real patterns, real evidence, and real-world logic. These are not fictional stories. These are reconstructions of operations that operate in silence while the world sleeps. Operations that attach themselves to weak institutions, broken leadership, blind trust, and the vulnerabilities that criminals exploit with surgical accuracy.